Hey team, what's good? What's happening? Welcome back to HGDC, HD Designs Crochet. I'm Heather and this is my channel. It's all about granny squares and motherhood and owning a crochet creative business and everything in between. This is my first video of the year and it's February, so gonna have a little sit down, catch up with you, let you know what's been going on. I got a few things that I want to talk to you about and just get off my chest and yeah, let's just do that. So I've just done a really quick reset of the downstairs level. I have just what's that word, rotated. I've just rotated Teddy's toys that are downstairs and just dusted everything, gave it a real quick wipe, and the whole time I was doing that I was like, okay, what do I need to say? How am I going to say it? And this is the third time attempting to record this video. The first time I just did not know what to say. I thought I could just wing it. Was not the case. The second time I recorded it, but I felt like I missed out loads of what I wanted to say, and just got caught in a loop on like a couple of specific bits. So this is the third time recording this video, and what has helped me massively is that I actually wrote a post that I emailed out and I also put on Instagram a like condensed version of that, and writing things out has always helped me get my thoughts together. I'm just not one of them people that can do things on the fly really, because there's just so much going on in there that I need a bit of time to just like sift through and make it sound cohesive so that you can understand what's going on in my brain. So having written that post, I now feel a lot more clarity on what I wanted to sit here and share with you. I have a little bit of a cold. I'm feeling all right. It's not hit me too hard and I'm really thankful for that. It's quite, what's the word? I don't know how much you put stock into energy. Like obviously the moon dictates the tide and all of that sort of stuff. And I do believe that the seasons and everything else all has an energy that all impacts us and every animal and plant around us. And I felt like I had this sore throat and I just couldn't speak to you all and I didn't know what to say and I was truly feeling poorly. And then I posted this video, I posted, I sent out the email and my condensed version on Instagram, and I just had this instant relief and this instant lift, and it went from a really sore throat where I genuinely thought that I had like tonsillitis or I'd need to go to the doctors to get it checked, to just having like stuffy sinuses. So all of that ick is being released, and that's why you can hear a little bit of a cold still. Truly, how am I? I've had to categorize this because that's just the way I am. I've got 5 categories in my life. We've got Teddy, Brad / marriage, home, health and HGDC. So I'm just going to go through those in order and let you know what's going on with each category and then the bigger picture. Obviously all 5 of them together is the bigger picture of my life, so without sharing one part it's hard to see the real deal. We'll start with Teddy, as I listed him as my first category. Both Brad and I strongly suspect that Teddy is autistic. For quite some time, probably from around about 9 months old, I was seeing little signs and was thinking, and we would talk about it and we would say, is it just baby / toddler behaviour as he got a bit older? Is it a Teddy quirk or is it something else? And we are heavily leaning towards something else. And I still don't know how much I'm going to share because I'm not sure, beyond saying this, how much more I will share, because it's his privacy that I really want to like honour. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to share too many details on him. So it's finding that fine balance between sharing what's going on so I can connect with others, and that's my reason for mentioning it because we suspect that he is autistic, we've been doing a lot of research. We've been trying to go through all the information. We've been looking at the diagnostic criteria. I've been speaking to people in our church that have either autistic children themselves, or they work in schools and they're like I don't know what their official title is, but they work with SEND children. They understand all of that. I've been speaking to friends that are medically like GPs, and they understand the system, and it's just been a lot in the background. And then with that, there's been a lot of like figuring out the best way to parent him. There's been, especially around Christmas, there was a little bit of, both Brad and I had to sit down and really talk to each other and be like, this is what our expectations were as parents, and this is maybe not the reality we're gonna have. We purposely make choices when it comes to social events so as not to overstress him and to buffer him from things that we know are going to be too much for him. And again, it's that fine line, isn't it, of making sure that you are pushing them enough whilst also protecting them. As I said, Teddy is young. He's only two and a half years old. We're going to leave this until Teddy is 3, and then we are going to take the next steps, which for us will be to begin the assessment process. I'm aware that the waiting list is really, really long. So that is why we wanted to start it as young as possible, so that he can get whatever support is required as he is growing and maturing. In that time, I've also been speaking to a lot of you on Instagram who have reached out from like different snippets I've put in from stories. I think if you are a neurodivergent parent, you just see it. So when I've been posting, I haven't specifically said that we think he's autistic, but people are just seeing the signs and like maybe reaching out to me, and that's been really useful, just because parenting can feel lonely at the best of times, but having a child that you suspect is neurodivergent is extremely isolating in many ways. We really have to think about what events we're going to be attending. We have to make sure that he doesn't feel too burnt out. We are always hyper aware of how things are likely to impact him and how that is then going to impact sleep and the rest of our week. And then on top of that, it's the way other people can judge and the way other people can treat you is really tough. Like, getting a lot of comments that you're an over anxious mother and that you're doing a disservice to your child for the choices that you're making, when I know my child inside out. I know him. I know what is best for him. I know, like, that's not to say that your experience bringing up your 4 or 5 children and all of the years you've had in school, like, I'm not disqualifying that, but what I'm saying is I know my child, and I know, out of all of the advice that you've given me, I know which ones I'm going to take on board and which ones just immediately won't work. So that can be really tough. It can also be really tough to hear the comments of like, you're babying him, you're coddling him, you're a helicopter mum, you've made a rod for your own back, you should detox him, and just all of this stuff. Like, it's a lot. So day to day, both Brad and I do feel drained. That isn't all on Teddy. That is a combination of things going on, and obviously I'll go through them. But we have noticed that there's certain things that we need to do for Teddy that possibly you wouldn't do for other children. And again, that's not to compare. We're just realising that how much mental and emotional energy that we pour into Teddy to keep him calm, happy, regulated, and we will do that for the rest of his life, no problem. But that's not to say, like, I also don't want to underplay the impact that also has on us. It's tough because we don't have a village, and I'm sure so many of you can relate to this. It's just different these days. Society is different. And I could honestly go on and on and on and on and on this tangent for absolutely ages. So maybe I'll make a separate video on that one day. That to say, we don't really have a village. And it's tough because at the end of the day, it's just Brad and I, and we either tag team, so one of us has Teddy while the other one gets something done, like whilst I'm recording, or we're just in it together. And yeah, I'll then segue into the next category, which is Brad and our marriage. And honestly, I have the most amazing husband who would do absolutely anything for me and works so hard for our family. He is such an involved father. He's really hands-on. He does all of the playing. Like, he'll never say no to Teddy if Teddy wants to play a game. Brad takes on board absolutely everything that I say. If I say to him I'm concerned about XYZ, he will help me figure out, for example, allergies. He's really on board with that. Like, if I feel that a certain something in the house is triggering Teddy or whatever, like, we work together, and we work together really, really well. But also at the same time, we've been under so much pressure for so long, and that also has a huge impact on us both. And again, without the village, it's hard to get those dates, the date time in, and we're both just feeling it. We're feeling, again, from accumulation of all of the categories that I'm about to share with you, we're feeling it all. We're feeling a lot of strain from post-traumatic stress, which I'll get into. We're feeling a lot of strain on our finances. I'll probably put finances in a separate category because I don't want this to all seem doom and gloom, because it's not. Like, it's not, but there's just so many things that are going on in the background. All of it builds up, and it feels like a lot sometimes. And we have very quickly learned over the last year to 6 months that we have to allow each other the time to go and do the things that really matter. Yes, we have a young child, and yes, we won't be in this season forever, but we've had to learn to cut out a lot of just what is not necessary to us. And what if, say for example, we come away from an event and we feel depleted, then why are we doing it to ourselves? And if something in the house is causing an argument, like toys that don't get put away or something, then like, get rid of it. So whatever it is that seems to be consuming a lot of our time, we have had to deal with. And I guess part of that is in the home stuff of like decluttering, sorting out a system, who does what chores, when do we do them, just so that everything just ticks over, and making sure in the evenings that we both get time to do what it is we want to do. We've always been very content at being at home, so it doesn't bother us. We're not feeling like we're missing out because we're not partying or holidaying or all that stuff. Like, we choose not to do that. But we need to make sure that in the evenings, it's not just, Teddy, rush to clean up and then bed. Making sure that we both get time to do the things we want to do, and making sure that we have date night every week. So in many ways, like, I feel like we're doing the most and doing so well. And I keep constantly saying to Brad, like, I'm so proud of us. Look at everything that we've done. I'm so proud of us. And then I'm constantly looking at ways that I can take some pressure off Brad. We are still adjusting to being a one-income family. I've spoken about it before. I had always assumed that Teddy would go into daycare, and probably from an early age. And because my pregnancy was so tough, we just put a lot of stuff on credit cards, and we just said that once Teddy was here, he could go into daycare quite young, and I could go back to work full time, and we'll get it all cleared off and all of those things. And as it turns out, I physically and mentally was not in a place that I could go back into the workforce. And add in a child that has always had disrupted sleep, which again is a big autism, quite heavily linked to autism. It just wasn't something that I could take on. So we made the decision around Teddy's first birthday that he wouldn't go into childcare. I did actually do some settling sessions with him at a childminder's, and the childminder was great, and I think Teddy could have been quite happy in that setting with me there. He was definitely happy, but I said to the childminder, how long do you think Teddy will cry for? Because are we talking weeks? And she just said to me, I have never met a child that is so strongly attached to their parent, to their mother, and this could take months, if not a year, for him to settle and get used to being here. And Brad was already of the opinion that daycare wasn't for him. And so I thanked her and I paid her for the sessions that we'd already done that I had stayed with him for, because I wanted to like repay her time. And that was it. We made the decision that we would not continue pursuing daycare for Teddy at that point. It just wasn't the right fit for him. And like, please don't take this as me guilting or shaming you. That is not the case. It's literally just our circumstances. I knew that it wouldn't be right for my child and that I could stay home with him. I had that option, so that's the option that I took. If I was to put him in daycare, it would have been purely for my own sake to have a break. And in all honesty, knowing that he could be crying the entire time he's there, or for a lot of the time he's there, and also knowing from previous experience of how dysregulated he is when he returns to me and how that impacts his sleep and all those other things, it just wasn't worth it for the few hours that he was going to be away. I think it was going to be 6 hours in total. So we said we would reassess when he was 2 years old. Fast forward to 2 years old, which was last summer, and again, I just knew he wasn't ready. And then we said that we'll reassess when he's 3, which will be this summer. And I know that he's just not going to go into a daycare setting. He's not going to go into a childcare setting, for a whole host of reasons that I could get into, but let's just keep this video relatively short. And looking back, the whole 2.5, 3 years from like pregnancy until now, I have been under the impression that at some point I'll probably return to part-time or full-time work. And I'm now that's never going to be the reality. Like, we are committed to being a one-income family whilst we have a young child, and as Teddy grows and depending on the support needs that he requires, then I will increase my capacity, and obviously that's part of the HGDC category, but that means that we are on a one-income family. For the whole time, for the last 3 years, I've been like, okay, once Teddy's here, then I will ramp up HGDC. And then once my maternity leave is finished, I'll ramp up maternity. Once Teddy's into daycare, I'll ramp up HGDC. And obviously, each one of those markers has passed, and that's just not going to be our reality. So we've actually removed all financial, like, what's the word? Obligation, responsibility. I have no financial goals. There is no requirement for me to bring in any money whatsoever to our family. So we are a one-income family, and obviously I'll get into HGDC after this. So we have adjusted very quickly, very rapidly, and in some months it has been brutal. It truly has been brutal, and that in itself has been draining. But I am so proud of how far we've come and how much we have grown and how well we have worked as a team. We had to really sit down and be like, right, what is our priority? Our priority is that we are the caregivers for Teddy, that we can give him that stability, that he can feel calm, happy, safe, and we can nurture him. And that means that I need to be home 24/7. I'm not going to be nipping out to do work. And we've always reassessed, like, okay, let's see how much I can bring in with HGDC. We'll give it 6 months to a year and then we'll reassess. And then at the end of those reassessment periods, it was always, we always spoke about if HGDC wasn't taking off in the way that I wanted it to increase my income levels to what it was pre-pregnancy, or if I felt that I just wanted to go into employment because that has many benefits over being self-employed, that we could do that. So that's always been like on the back of my mind, and we have now removed that completely. I will not be returning to work until Teddy is at a point where his support needs mean that he doesn't need either me or Brad to be with him. I can see that in a not too distant future, because we are already seeing so much confidence, and like I can really see him blossoming, but we've removed that completely. So I am solely here to be consistent for Teddy. We've budgeted, we've learnt so much. Last year, 2024, we really went in on debt, paying off any consumer debt. So we had a few finance payments for a couple of items around our home, a car, just other little bits and pieces. We've combined our finances, and last year was our first year of doing that. And it was bumpy, it was rough. There was many arguments, there was many tears, but also there was so much celebration. We made so much progress. We went into the year with quite a bit to pay off, again, from choices that we'd made prior to pregnancy, under the assumption that we would have 2 incomes. And we had to make some big decisions for me to remain home with Teddy, for our bills to be paid, for us to be safe, warm, and to live the lifestyle that we want to live, and to improve our home and all of those things. So this year we are continuing with the debt payment. We have 2 things remaining: a tiny bit of my credit card from when I was pregnant, and which is interest free, so it's not the priority at the moment, and our family car. Last year we sold Brad's car and we now have a car that we share. Like, we have made so many changes. I'm so proud of us for doing this, because how many families do you know can pay their mortgage, pay all of their bills, have like fun money, disposable income, all on one income? I'm honestly so proud and so grateful for Brad working so hard. He's had so many promotions and he's just truly grafted. And I know that if something happened tomorrow and we needed more money, I know he would take 2-3 jobs to make sure that we were covered. And that the security that gives me is literally invaluable, and just truly love him for that, for putting himself, for doing that for us, to ensure that his family are like loved, nurtured, safe. Just honestly, thank God for my husband. I picked a good one. I'm so grateful for him. So last year we went all out, like, gotta pay everything off, gotta pay it off, gotta pay it off. And then this year we are still doing that, but we have a little bit more wiggle room in our budget. So I'm really focusing on prettying up the house, in effect, making sure that it functions, making sure it's pretty, making sure that it's the aesthetic that I really enjoy. So for now, I am focusing on prettying up the kitchen and the garden. So many plans for the garden. I cannot wait. The last few days, we've had a little bit of sunshine. Teddy's been outside playing and I've been able to like tidy up, and I've got so many plans for my vegetable plot. One day I want to get an allotment, but I just know right now is not the time in terms of finances and my time, and so eventually I would like to do that. For now, I'm going to make sure that my garden is getting as much love as possible. My health is the next category. My health has taken an absolute tanking. I can't deny that. I can't hide that at all. Pregnancy had such a severe impact on my physical, mental, emotional, financial health, all of it. It really impacted my physical health in that I had kidney damage, I had liver damage, I was sick from week 5 until 5 hours after Teddy was delivered. I was vomiting throughout labour. it really did a number on my body. And my consultant said to me that I cannot get pregnant for the first 2 years after having Teddy, otherwise I risk permanent kidney damage. My body needs time to recover. And that is what I have been focusing on in the last, I feel like until Teddy got to 18 months, I was a little bit in survival mode. You have a newborn, I had other stuff going on. And when he got to 18 months, I realised I really need to take care of myself and my health. And I've been taking a lot of supplements, I've been doing workouts, I've been making sure that I take walks just for my own mental health. I've been making sure that I take time out for myself, that it's not just all Teddy and work, Teddy and work. I've been really focusing on making sure I'm trying to go to bed at a decent time. I've been working on my sleep. The other huge impact is both pregnancy and Teddy's delivery were extremely traumatic and left me with post-traumatic stress disorder. And I haven't shared a whole lot of it on here. I feel like it's really hard to share stuff when it's an open wound, as opposed to looking back and it's a scar. And it's still very much an open wound, and probably will be for quite some time, because I did seek legal advice regarding the lack of care, the negligence that took place. I can't really talk about a lot of it. I just can't. I can't talk about it. It stresses me out. I know it's a self-preservation thing, and yeah, I can't talk about it. That is still very much ongoing. It has an absolutely huge impact. When I receive correspondence, I cannot eat, I cannot sleep. I get really intense flashbacks and anxiety. The anxiety is absolutely crippling. Like, it's just been, and still is to this day, devastating. And that is why I disappear for months and months on time. Months and months on end from HGDC, because I just end up hiding away. I just don't know how to share what's going on. And that's something that I do want to change, which is why, in part, I'm making this video. And that does then lead me into HGDC. I, out of everything, feel so gutted about HGDC, because it was such a young business when I began it, and it had so much promise. Like, my income levels were so great. And in large, I've had to let a lot of it drop. We don't have the village, I've not had the work time. A lot of it has been survival mode, sleep deprivation, anxiety, nightmares, flashbacks, counselling, budgeting, like everything. Everything has needed me and my attention, and my head has been scrambled. So on the one hand, I'm grateful that I can put HGDC to one side, but also really gutted that that is what I've had to do. The saving grace is that I know that HGDC is my forever job, and that it will be something that is always going to be there for me. And for this year, I am doing, I don't want to say the bare minimum, because it sounds like I'm not putting effort in. That's not the case. But we have removed all pressure from me. There's no financial pressure. I have very limited deadlines, and we've set it up that way so that I have the breathing space, that if Teddy needs me, if my health deteriorates or anything else, as the claim kicks in more and more, I can take a step back. But I don't want to disappear anymore, which is why I want to just get all of this off my chest, so that you just know what's going on. During pregnancy, you were all so encouraging and supportive, and I truly felt like I had a community, and that you honestly saved me. You honestly saved me in so many ways, and I recognise how much I miss you all, how much I miss having that. It's already been so useful to have people reach out on Instagram and be like, you're not alone, I understand. Another thing on my health is that I also suspect that I am autistic. I suspect that I'm ADHD, and I am currently, I have a mental health nurse assigned to me whilst I wait for more counselling sessions to begin, because I need to find a way to process and manage the trauma that has happened so that I can eat, sleep and just live my life and not have any more days, time robbed from me. So whilst I'm on that waiting list, I have a mental health nurse who checks in with me every month, and she has begun the referral process for ADHD, and then we will go on and do the autism route. And let me tell you, figuring out, like, I know, caveat, I'm not medically trained, and so obviously this is all subject to diagnosis, but I am pretty sure that I am autistic. I'm pretty sure that I am ADHD. And figuring that out at 35 years old has been painful, very validating, and I just feel absolutely filled with sadness. I think that potentially I've been navigating my whole life feeling like an alien, feeling like I'm different, feeling like I'm an outsider, feeling like there's something wrong with me, self-harming, not understanding myself, not understanding other people, constantly being like belittled and people taking the mick out of me and thinking I'm dramatic or saying I'm too sensitive or you pull too many faces, your tone's too harsh, you this, you that, you other, when actually, quite simply, I'm autistic and it's a disability. I'm different, but not less. I'm coming to that realisation at 35 years old. I feel so much grief. Like, imagine if I knew this back when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and the difference that would have made throughout my adult life. I've always felt like I've wasted my 20s in many ways, that everyone else was given like the rule book for life and I never received it. And I've always felt like I was like behind and that I wasted my 20s because they were so like bogged down with a lot of mental health issues, self-harm, anxiety. I really struggled with my own sense of identity. I felt like I couldn't be myself around many, many people, and that has been so isolated and so lonely. I've always felt like I've always been made to feel like there's something wrong with me for loving my crochet, and there's not. I am the way I am. And the baby's home, so we'll carry on with this. I'll go upstairs. Hello.
Yeah.
You okay?
Oh, well, not too bad.
What happened?
Wasn't the best of visits, but he's alright.
What happened?
No, nothing. It's just both of them were not in the sharing room.
I didn't want to inside.
You're sad?
Yeah.
Come, baby.
I get sad.
Isaac was sad.
Isaac was sad, wasn't he? Waiting for his dinner.
He couldn't share and he felt sad. And how does Teddy feel? Hey team, it's editing Heather here. I think that clip just sums up, like, I was in the middle of a task, Teddy needed me, I abandoned the task. That was several weeks ago and I am now editing that video and getting it out to you. I haven't recorded an outro, I didn't finish what I was saying. So yeah, in a nutshell, how am I feeling? I'm feeling incredibly stretched, I'm feeling overwhelmed, my brain is constantly scrambled. I am feeling all these feelings about autism and about the impact that that's had on my life and how different life could be, and also feeling like anger. I feel so angry at so many things. I feel angry that I am 35 years old and I'm only just figuring this out, and also anger at other things in general, like why don't we have a village and why don't we have more help, and anger that it's my business that's taking the hit. And at the same time, there's so much gratitude that I understand what my son is going through and that I can help him with all of this, and that I have a husband that absolutely drives me bonkers and we absolutely do argue, but who I love and who works so hard for us, and just in amongst all of that, there's granny squares and there is loads of laughter and there is lots of great moments and memories and so much making, and yeah, that's how I'm feeling. I can't even put it all into words. So if you've gotten this far, thank you so much. Thank you for watching this. Please, if any of the things I've spoken about resonate with you, please reach out to me, whether it is here on YouTube, whether it's in my DMs or emails. Like, I would love to speak to you. And I feel like there is a couple of other really big topics that I didn't get to, and so they will have to come in a follow-up video. But for now, I just want to get this one out to you and just start getting back to chatting about granny squares and sharing all things life along the way. So yeah, thank you so much, and I will speak to you in the next one.